Chapter 9. I was traumatized from my experience, but Michelle's wounds were even deeper. She'd suffered the most horrific abuse, both mental and physical, from a man who eventually tried to kill her. She was kept as a de facto prisoner, never let out of his sight, couldn't go anywhere or do anything without him. Was beaten, threatened, and her family threatened. One day, a friend who was at their house visiting had a brief moment alone with Michelle and quickly told her that her boyfriend was planning to kill her. He threatened to kill her many times, but the friend overheard him get directions to an old mine shaft that had been abandoned, so he's probably going to try to do it soon. A shaft is a type of mine that runs vertical, straight down, thousands and thousands of feet. Most are abandoned when they play out, and the sites are dangerous and unstable. Holes thousands of feet deep sometimes, just covered with plywood and dirt. And to get to the bottom of one safely can be a multi-million-dollar operation. There are thousands of them across the country, and people use them to make things disappear. Later on that same night, Michelle's boyfriend told her to get in the car. They were going for a ride. She was terrified, but she got in because she knew he'd just kill her right there on the spot if she didn't. As she told me this part of the story, I could see the fear and the pain in her eyes that she still carried. It broke my heart. As they drove out into the middle of nowhere, Michelle asked him where he was taking her, and he wouldn't reply. Stone cold silent the whole time. Very, very carefully, she reached into her boot and pulled out a small but very sharp pocket knife. And when the moment was right, she slashed at his neck. And he was barely able to block it with his hand at the last moment. But his palm was cut deep and gushing blood from her strike. Now, although the wound was deep, it was mostly superficial, but being a nurse, Michelle was able to convince him that he had just enough time to get to the hospital to keep from bleeding out from the artery in his hand, right? So that's what they did. And in the emergency room, he kept Michelle next to him so she couldn't talk. But there was an ER nurse that had a keen eye that was able to separate them long enough to hear Michelle tell what really happened. And shortly after that, he was taken into custody. And Michelle was taken to a shelter for battered women. And later he would be tried and sent to prison. In the trunk of his car, they found duct tape, rope, and a shovel.